Welcome to our Wisdom Whispers this month with Alexe Woods from Universal Movement. And she's going to come and inspire us and share her wisdom around lunar and cyclical living, connecting with the sun, the stars, and the moon, and all those good things that we really love at the Wisdom Seeker Society. Thank you, Alexe.
Thank you. I'm really, really pleased to be here. I'm really excited to share this with you. This is obviously a subject I'm very passionate about, and it's changed my life. So it's just lovely to be able to share these little bits of wisdom seeking bits and pieces with you. And thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, you're most welcome. And Alexei comes from a physical movement space into a celestial movement space. So I think it's gorgeous.
That is true. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Um, I'm now trying to mix the two. So
Yeah.
this is what I'm really enjoying. I'm loving all this kind of fusion, as we grow, we're always learning, but yes, mixing movement, meditation, and the rhythms and cycles is something I particularly love to do.
Yeah. Which includes using
Yes,
body astrology, moonology. I know there's a little bit of moonology in there, chakra systems,
exactly.
all
Because
kinds of.
everything is linked, and that's what I'll show you in today's class, really, that um, it's more about body astrology and how we can bring that into our life and how that can create like a full self-care system for us to be able to follow. Because a lot of the time we don't really know what to do for self-care, or at least I didn't know for a very long time. And this has kind of paved the way for something to actually follow to do. So, yeah.
Yeah. Because there isn't a one size fits all, is
No,
there?
not at all. And we're
No.
all unique and different on a different path. And this is what's nice about it, because it's energy you can tap into and take what you need and then come away with a rounded, well-being kind of system to follow. And that's what I'll share with you today.
Yes.
Just to give you a teeny tiny bit of background, I started living cyclically about 5 years ago, maybe a bit longer. I started following the moon. I was suffering with a great deal of tiredness. I had a very young child. I was coming out of being a very busy business owner of a dance studio that used to run 200 classes a week, 50 staff. And it wasn't the internet days where you would do one thing and sell it online. It was the days that when you did one-to-ones all day, all night, and you exhausted yourself. So this is where I came from. And I needed something to replenish my energy. And also I found love for yoga nidra, which is particularly where my skills lie, I feel now. And I'd like to mix this in with this methodology that I've sort of created around the sun, moon, and stars. But I really did start with the moon. But let's get started. So I've called it universal movement because it is mixing in everything, or trying to mix everything that we know about the universe and the seasons, a bit of astrology, and taking those elements of these seasons each month and actually linking them to a chakra, an emotion, the planetary ruler, the house. And by having this knowledge, it gives us a really rounded, each month is actually something totally different from the other month. And by following that, we can create like a really aligned self-care program for ourselves, which I find really interesting. We can do this personally to us even, which is amazing. By looking at your birth chart, you can actually work out, actually, I could use a bit more of this in my life, or I like this type of movement, or all sorts of things, but that will come later. But yes, so following each season, some of you may be aware, or maybe not aware, in astrology, each sign actually links to an area of the body. It's under medical astrology, which I've studied. And when I discovered this, it's changed everything for me, because discovering the moon phases is one thing, and that's our energy levels as women, the 28-day cycle. For men, it's the 24-hour clock, the sun. For women, it's the moon. But when you start to look at a whole season and you understand that Aries season is ruler of the head, and we're really in our head, and it's all to do with passion and thought and putting yourself out there and so on this season. And being ruler of the head, it means that we can focus on different areas. So we can focus on our mental health, our for instance, mindfulness, meditation. We can focus on maybe taking more care of the face, doing face yoga, getting a haircut, little things like that. And as the seasons go through, you're actually going through each area of the body. So Taurus is the next location lower down, it's the neck. Then Gemini, which Gemini is really interesting, it's everything that's twin in the body. So it's the lungs, the two lungs, the arms, the hands and fingers. And Gemini, you could link that to, for instance, breath work. You could link that to the chakra. There's so many different things. I'm going to show you this a little bit later. But anyway, so by following very simply the season of that sign, we can link it to the emotion, we can link it to the planetary ruler, which is usually has a big link together. Then we can link it to the particular chakra. And by understanding with the moon that, new moon is when our energy is at its lowest. And as that peaks, we can be doing more things. And as that descends, that's when we should be doing much less towards the dark moon. And yes, I think that women have sort of set themselves up in society to do it all the time, and they don't allow themselves to take a break, really. And this kind of method is me trying to tell women it's okay, you can take a break, trying to force them to actually, well, not force them, but suggest to them that it's there is moments in the cycle which are very clear to us with the dark moon and new moon that we should be resting and shouldn't really be doing much else other than maybe setting intentions. And then as our energy grows, we can bring in more self-care practices, maybe some movement, but some people are, trying to hit the treadmill every day and they wonder why they can't sustain something, or they wonder why it's, even in work, like why we are burning out so quickly, because we're not actually giving ourselves the rest we should. So anyway, I hope that makes sense. So yes, as I've explained, this methodology throughout, a year, you can visit each area of the body and very easily tap into that energy, understand, check in with your emotions, check in with the body area, maybe do some self-care towards that body area if you can. And you've got a whole month to do that. And as I was saying, a lot of people don't really seem to understand what to actually do when it comes to taking care of themselves. What is self-care? Is it putting a face pack on? What is it exactly? So this is a way for us to be able to connect with the planets, with the chakras, with the moon cycle, and it creates a really nice natural way to live and something to actually follow. It's taken me about 3 years to get my head around it all. But in fact, it's so simple. It's literally we're going through each area of the body, following the moon cycle for those high moments and those low moments. I hope that makes sense. So this is a chart which I'm happy to pass on to you all. It gives you an idea of actually how simple it is. So for instance, Aries is the ruler of the brain. It's the ruler of the upper jaw, the teeth. Taurus, we go down the body, is the neck. Again, it's the lower teeth, it's the tongue, it's the throat, which is what we're in now. Gemini is the nervous system, and also it's all the twins in the body. Leo is a wonderful one. It's the spinal column, but it's all the energy within the spinal column. So it's the heart center, which obviously the heart center is our life force, and it's linked to the sun, as you can imagine, you know, the sun being our life force, and that's how Leos and fire signs actually replenish their energy by the sun. But if you think about it like this, you have a big aura around you, you have this energy flowing in the spine. So it's great for these people to be doing like Kundalini yoga, for instance, or you know, in Aries season, just checking in with your spine, going through the chakras in the spine. You know, it's also the crown chakra, Leo, so really connecting with source. You know, cancer is actually ruled by the moon. So if anyone's Cancerian, they should be following the moon simply for their emotions, because the moon signs can explain to us very clearly what emotion you're feeling. And there are certain, I started to take notes a while ago of all, you know, the phases and the moon signs. So for instance, which I'm sure some of you are aware, but maybe not, throughout 365 days, every 2.5 days, we are in a different moon sign, which is the 12 signs each month, each 28 days. But also we're in a different phase. So you're never in the same phase and moon sign throughout the whole year. So as many of you may be aware, you would start a new moon in Aries. 6 months later, it would be full moon in Aries. And then 6 months after that, it will be dark moon in Aries and new moon, and the cycle repeats again. So we know that, for instance, taking this information here, Aries, ruler of the head, for the dark moon, what can we do with that? We can do some meditation. We can be doing self-care for the face, the teeth. I think you get what I mean. And full moon, that's where things are kind of heightened and we have a spotlight on them, and we can be doing more movement, you know, something like that. So this is where I've taken this method and tried to bring that in. But the moon signs and emotions for Cancerians is so important, because the moon is our inner world. It's how we feel. It's the emotional tide, if you like. And with that, we can be taking note of the moon sign, what emotion that brings, and following that, because there are definitely times of the month. And for me, it's always Aries moon. When it's an Aries moon, I am mad. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm all over the place. But I started to notice it's always on an Aries moon. And it's like, right, okay, there is these times of the month that actually I'm not quite myself. And that's specific signs. And it's interesting to work out if there is a specific sign, and that kind of makes you feel like that. Virgo is all to do with like gut health. And what's interesting about Virgo is it's the whole of the digestive system. And it's also how we digest emotions, how we digest everyday things, you know. So they're also very particular people. What I mean by, sorry, I'm a Virgo rising. They're very like attention to detail and things like that. But usually they worry quite a lot about their health, especially gut health. So Virgos should always go and check out, you know, check out gut health. Libra is all about balance. It is starting, as you've noticed, we're starting to go down the body. So it's, you know, it's kidneys, it's also to do with harmonizing all of that. And Scorpio is to do with their kind of reproductive system. Also, what I find hilarious about Scorpio is it's a reproductive system, but it's also ruler of the nose, which is just strange, but it is. And Capricorn is a wonderful sign to work with, because it's all the structure of the body, it's all the bones, teeth, nails. So this is the kind of time you can say, right, I'm going to go and get my teeth checked out, or I'm going to go and see a chiropractor and just make sure my back's in line, just one time of the year, if need be. And Aquarius, lower legs, and then Pisces. Pisces is probably one of the most fascinating signs. It is ruler of the feet, but it's ruler of the pineal gland and ruler of our sleep, dreams, and illusions. So obviously, being the most spiritual sign, it is fascinating. It's also, you know, the blood, all the system. So Yeah, there's a lot to work with, and we can take all of these things and turn them into little self-care bits and pieces for us to do. So let me see if I can move that. So I just wanted to give you an example. So I'm going to give you 3 examples: Aries, Taurus, and Gemini. So it's a fire sign. The ruler is Mars. It's all to do with desire, energy. It kickstarts the year. It's the solar plexus chakra. And also, it's the sort of thing, they love to set goals, at the beginning of every astrological year. It's great to kind of set those goals. And I think that many of us almost exhaust ourselves at the end of Pisces season when it's winter. And that's all of our sleep. And when we're meant to be resting and hibernating, in fact, we're planning all this stuff for spring and so on. And I think, I see a lot of women that come to me have done way too much in winter time and getting ready for spring, and by the time spring has hit, they are just flat out exhausted, and then it's eclipse season and it's all of this. So it really is important to see Pisces as a Pisces season as a time to rest, okay, before we go into this. But the sort of self-care that Aries might like, head massages, affirmations, acupuncture, facials, saunas, because they like it hot. They also may get headaches when they are very tired. So if you know an Aries, they do push themselves a lot of the time. So meditation is really good for them. Let's move on. So Taurus, being the earth sign that it is, beautiful sign, all to do with love, money, is obviously the heart chakra, which I find that link really great. And obviously, the planetary ruler Venus. But that is ruler of the ears, jaw, tongue. It's actually ruler of the 5 senses. Taurus really love to be able to touch things like velvet or the earth. They like to garden and so on. So that's always a great self-care for them, to be outdoors just in general. Like to nurture, excuse me, but they might like neck massages, singing, it's all around the throat. Actually, there's some incredible Taurian singers out there in the world. Essential oils, herbs, working with all of this, they may love Tai Chi, yoga. All Taurus is actually, I didn't mention that about Aries, but I'll tell you in a moment. Taurus, movement-wise, they like it slow and steady, very sensual. And they would probably like practices like yoga, Kundalini yoga. And taking that outside is always great. I think I have a comment. Oh. My aunt was a Taurus and her garden was incredible. That's amazing. Yes. Yes, lovely. Exactly. And for instance, Aries, they like a quick fix sort of workout. They are the sort of people that want a HIIT class and, to be running, doing a sprint, if you see what I mean. So let's move on to Gemini. Gemini being an air sign, I am a Gemini. I love everything to do with obviously big spaces. That's kind of my way to meditate, get out and look at the sky in general. But they also like, being communication ruler. They love to socialize, social butterflies. Also, they may love shoulder massages, which I certainly do. It's all to do with the upper shoulders and things like breath work's great for them, using foam roller, as I've mentioned. But the sort of kind of sports they like is like hand-eye coordination, like very fast from brain to hand, because also they rule, I think they rule, I can't remember if it's the left or the right side of the brain, but they do rule part of the brain and the nervous system. So yoga nidra obviously for them is fantastic. I am not going to go through every single sign. I did want to touch on the moon and how we can bring this in. So as I've already mentioned, the moon phases every 2.5 days, and that energy flow. For instance, if we were to start new moon, I would recommend actually to do no movement at all, just to be meditating, setting those intentions, taking some time off, doing nothing, and then a couple of days later, that's when we sort of start to plan and to set those kind of intentions and goals that we want to do into action. That can be going up to the waxing moon, but during that time, a few days later, you can start to do a bit of movement. You can start to do some gentle Pilates or some yoga, etc. And then by the time you're at full moon, it's the sort of thing that you can be really going for it and doing a run, more sporting activity, because you have more energy. And as the dark, as the moon wanes, then we can be doing again more stretch, more relaxation. And dark moon is like just forbidden. It's like nothing at all. it's as much as possible. And this is why I do actually run like rest rituals, because I find that very important. And I run those every full moon to help women let go, and also every dark moon to let go at the end of the cycle. And yeah, I find them very effective, because there are a few times of the month we do actually need to kind of reset. And using the moon, its beautiful illumination that's there, is just a perfect way of doing that. So yes, energy wise, a lot of people, not everyone, but some may notice that they don't sleep so well around a full moon time. So what is great to realize is dark moon. You may notice if you have pets and animals. Always when it's dark moon, I have the 3 cats on the bed. Full moon, they all want out, roaming the town. So it's the same for us. It should be a time that we can schedule in more rest time. And full moon of the cycle, let's go out and party, yeah. Okay, so I hope that explains some things. Now, what's interesting about putting this together, when you look at your chart, so if you're looking at your personal birth chart, because you can work out your actual self-care for yourself, which is fascinating, I find. Your sun sign is how you can replenish your energy. It's your vital force, it's your chi. So if you're a fire sign, as I mentioned earlier, you can be going out and sun seeking, relaxing in the sun, sitting in the sun for 10 minutes a day. All these things to be able to relax, maybe also things to do with heat, like, saunas, etc. If you're a water sign, obviously being in water is extremely healing. So using these things, having a bath or going swimming, or, going to a spa if you can, or whatever. And knowing these things, that these are the way to replenish your vital force, is really important, I think. And that's how we can really replenish our energy. Using the moon sign, your moon sign is your internal emotions. So by understanding your moon sign, it's your inner world, it's how you feel, how you think, and the effect on our kind of impact of emotions and impact on other people's, how we react to things. And that's great to be aware of. And this is why it's great to take note of signs, especially the moon signs, because we can have a clear idea of, okay, that emotion is linked to that. And full moon Aries, everyone's arguing and this and so on. And rising sign's a really interesting one, with I think a lot of people don't realize, is that it's actually how other people perceive you. So it's like that first impression where somebody can look at you as also part of like your personality, parts of your personality, but it's external. So you may feel like a Leo inside, but you may look like a Virgo, and that can be, or you may be you may have a rising sign which is Leo, so you look like you're really in the spotlight all the time. But in fact, you're you feel very shy inside, So this is how you get people with characters that don't understand how come they are so much seen, when actually they don't want to be, or the vice versa. Is interesting. So yes, that's how we can tell that, but you can go deeper into understanding like planetary rulers and so on, like your Mars placement will explain to you what kind of movement you like. So by understanding if it's what sign it's in, we can see what type of movement we like. For instance, as I was explaining, in Taurus, they like slow and steady, if your Mars placement is in, for instance, Aries, you may like a hip class. Okay. So yes, this is quite a new method. It's something I've been playing with for about 4 years now. And I am going to be, well, I've just launched a small community called Secrets of the Moon, where I'm going to help women mainly, and men if they want, to align with the phases and the emotions of the moon. So that is lunar alignment. And it is a free community. I will send you a link in the chat if you'd like to join, or you can just visit universalmovement.com. And it's something which I think is really important for us to be able to understand our emotions. I do offer meditations in there as well. Later this year, I will be launching a self-care method, which is called Universal Movement, which I'm very excited about. And this will bring in, I've brought in a lot of different experts. It will touch on body astrology, but I think, body astrology is great to know, but to actually, it's more about the self-care, Self-care, I think our health system is really crumbling around the world. And I feel that we can really do a lot, for ourselves. And this is just a really nice way to be able to look at each area of the body and tap into those areas and do something for ourselves. So that is Universal Movement, which is coming this summer. I also run rest rituals, as I mentioned, on the dark and full moon. And that is it, pretty much. That's me. Thank you so much for joining me. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'd be delighted to answer any questions.